Hey guys, welcome to the drive home. I'm Kristen, joined with
Megan. Hey.
And then we have our roommate,
Katie.
So, we just got back from seeing The Amazing Spider-Man. It is opening day today, and what are your guys' initial thoughts?
Personally, I'm very, very pleased. I was really worried when they announced that they were rebooting it, you know, all those years ago. Because it's been in development for so long, it feels like. Yeah. But, well, I was really worried because I love Sam Raimi. And I was trying not to get hyped for this one. And it turns out I had nothing to worry about because they did a really good job, in my opinion.
Katie?
Yeah, I would say that it lives up to its name 100%. I would go so far as to say I like it more than the original Spider-Man, than the Raimi version.
See, it's funny, well, we talked about this. I disagree. I still like the original best. We also, Katie and I watched, like, pretty much the whole thing earlier, and Megan came in at certain scenes, because she's like, aren't you going to be all Spider-Man'd out? I've been doing Spider-Man stuff, like, for the last week, so might as well just
I was actually just about to suggest that we pop in the second one.
So, Kristen and I had it fresh when we went to
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen it a million times. I was in love with Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, when that movie came out. And I don't read comics. I check up on them if I like the movie. I do that with books too. But for me, I went in with the same thought that I came out with was I knew I would like this one, which I did, and I recommend it. It's a great, Spider-Man's always great. But I knew going into it that I was always going to like the first one. It always has like a special place in my heart. And, but I really liked it. I think Gwen Stacy, honestly, I liked her better than Mary Jane.
Oh, yeah.
I was so surprised they did much better with the female lead in this one, and that's nothing against Kirsten Dunst.
No, Kirsten Dunst did the best that she could with what she was given.
But no, just as a character, they treated her with a lot more respect. So she was so much more than just a damsel in distress,
which was great. And Emma, everybody loves Emma Stone. Yeah. I mean, what perfect casting for a lead, and she still looks so young. So does Andrew Garfield, and I think he's late 20s?
Yeah, I think he's older than us.
Yeah, and Emma Stone's our age. She's 24-ish, roundabout. So I thought she was great. And they really took Peter Parker a different route. Again, because it was fresh in my mind from watching the other one. He had a lot more attitude. I don't know if you guys felt that too. He was really a lot more jokes.
He was less of a giant goofball.
Exactly.
And I actually liked that. They still had that patented Spider-Man snark, which was brilliant. You have to have that for the character. When you lose that, you've lost the character. Mm-hmm. But I think that it reflected better on the darker tone of the story. I think that it reflected better on the character. I think it was actually a little truer to comics. I liked this iteration of it. I can buy this Peter Parker as a hero as opposed to someone who just gets lucky.
I don't know. See, I disagree. I
really podcast is going to be you and me disagreeing.
I know, in a nice, happy way.
I'm going to grab some popcorn.
I know. Right?
I ate all of mine.
I liked, again, I thought, I agree with your part where you said it worked with the darker tone. Much more, because the Sam Raimi one was a little bit more cartoony. Even like the spiders, themselves were more cartoony. And here they like to show a lot of spiders, which doesn't make either one of us happy.
It was like 300% more spider shots. Kristen and I are arachnophobes. And so that showing up, and then they just kept showing spiders.
And me being in between the two of them, I was cracking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I'm usually the one in the apartment that has to kill the spider.
And we're cringing in unison. So if you're an arachnophobe, there will probably be parts of this movie that will make your skin crawl, but they get that over with pretty early.
But it's a good 40 minutes they keep bringing it up.
They shove it in your face.
Oh look, here's another spider. Here, we're gonna have a training montage. Spider. Like, why? It's a legion of spiders.
Yeah, it was a lot to take for that, but again, I think Andrew Garfield fit this snarky persona better. However, again, I really liked with Tobey Maguire, they made him a huge geek, and the fact that he did get lucky, I think, is a bit more realistic. Like, Andrew Garfield barely worked to get actually, he didn't even have to work to get Gwen Stacy. He already had her, and the thing I kind of liked about the other one...
She loves him for who he really is.
Which I like. Exactly.
I'm quoting Emma Stone.
Yeah, Emma Stone made a quote on Saturday Night Live, and then also in WonderCon, she's like, you know, Mary Jane's just a skank, and you know, Gwen Stacy loves Peter for who he really is, and it was hilarious, and she's great with that. I like that she did like him before he was Spider-Man. However, he was not as big of a nerd. I didn't feel. I mean, yeah, he got punched around a little bit, but even Flash, when he was, you know, hitting that other, you know, pushing that other kid around. And Peter stood up. He actually listened to him. I think Peter Parker would be the one that was getting pushed around in the first place.
He would be the one with his, you know, face in the plate of spaghetti or whatever that was. What I liked, just since you brought up Flash, and you know we were talking a little bit about Gwen, I really liked how in this one all the side characters, even if it wasn't a whole lot, I feel like all the side characters got a little development. Yeah, and you don't get that, and you don't get that in a lot of movies, period, but you don't get it in a lot of superhero movies in particular because the focus is on the hero. And this one we get a little bit of development from Flash, we get development for Gwen, we get development from her dad, we get development for Aunt May and everything like that, and I really like that. It shows that, you know, these are people who learn and grow, and not just stock characters like they might be for other movies and things like that. You know, like the bully actually learns something.
It's a world that's populated with people that have more than one dimension. It's not just the hero and the scenery.
Yeah, and even the villain, I know we talked about a little bit, you know, was a reluctant villain, and you know, don't do drugs. Don't shoot up. Again, if it's green, it's going to be bad. At Oscorp.
With the first movie, you get forced into villainy, and then bad things happen.
And I just think they have to stay away from green formula and shooting it in their arms, because I don't think that ever works out, especially from Oscorp.
Yeah, Oscorp, stay away from Oscorp. If a recruiting agent ever comes to you going, hey, you want to work for Oscorp? Yeah, just go, nah. I know the economy's bad right now, but no, Oscorp's
although can
really
I say
is worth more than that.
For Oscorp, the guy they have talk of Norman Osborn, which is funny to me.
The Green Goblin. Willem, you're picturing Willem Dafoe as they're talking about, you know, the enigmatic Norman Osborn.
Yeah, they don't show him or anything.
Never see him, and I actually liked that.
They kind of need to not show him because I think it only being 10 years since the original, and then little over 10 years from the original, and then all the sequels kind of flash back to him. So he's fresh in every. Willem Dafoe is Green Goblin, as far as I'm concerned.
I love you can't recast J. Jonah Jameson, who was not in this movie either.
I was going to say, it's also very interesting that they didn't have a whole lot, you know, because they're doing a different take on the origin story, they didn't have a whole lot of characters from you know, obviously the first Sam Raimi one. No Harry, no J. Jonah, no Mary Jane, obviously. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I thought they might throw references in there, but they didn't. And so I think that's good on the one hand because, you know, it lets this movie stand on its own and, you know, and start its own story. On the other hand, it's like, I like those characters, so I would like to see them come back in future. I imagine this will do well, so I'm sure that they'll do a sequel.
Yeah. Well, and then it's kind of funny to not really reference a movie that's obviously going to be referenced from everybody that sees it because it's not that long it's not that long between the reboot and the original. And sometimes I think, especially when the original does so well, it's different with the Hulk because the Eric Bana one didn't do that great and wasn't getting such good reviews. When you go up against Spider-Man, which is one of the top earners of all time, it's for sure, I think it's top 20 up there. And same with the sequel, the second one. Even the third one made money, but
even the third one,
let's not go into
records. It broke records opening weekend, and I think it held it until one of the Twilight movies. I don't remember which one, but it held that record for a good while. So.
Yeah, actually, I think it makes a lot of sense that it did not reference the earlier movies. This is a movie that's starting on its own continuity, its own take on the canon, and if you keep having throwbacks to existing movies, you make it less of a movie that can stand on its own.
But to pretend like it's not even there,
sometimes that's what you
weird.
have to do if you're starting over.
Well, I think the only
I think
same
that
actor
makes-
that showed up was Stan Lee.
Well, yeah, Stanley's cameo is beautiful.
Yeah,
But
that
the
was a
other
great
thing
cameo.
is, in the Sam Raimi version, the first movie takes place, I want to say, the latter half of a high school year and then partially through college, whereas this one stayed entirely in the span of maybe a few months in high school. So we simply haven't gotten to him working for J. Jonah Jameson yet. We haven't gotten to the Green Goblin. We haven't gotten to the point in the story that was covered by the Sam Raimi version. So there might be references, there might be similar casting, it's entirely possible. But for now, for it to stand on its own, it took that bit of a story and it developed it the best it could. And I think it did a fantastic job.
It really did. Although I'm gonna say in the sequel, if they do have him working for the Daily Bugle, they need to get J.K. Simmons back.
It has to be J.K. Simmons. He was too perfect.
He really was. I can't picture any, because he even did it in the cartoon, right?
He's done it. He's doing it in the newest incarnation of the cartoon. The guy who did it in the cartoon that I grew up with was actually Ed Asner.
Oh, really?
We're popular tonight.
Anyway, so but yeah,
Don't answer your phone while we're driving. Obviously, we didn't walk to the theater at all.
Of course not.
But I did like the villain. I liked the story. I liked all the casting. I liked the direction. The effects were really good. It's kind of funny looking at the first one and then looking at this one and seeing, what we've improved upon in terms of effects and what still looks really cheesy.
The practical effects for the lizard. Oh my gosh. There's a ton of CGI, but when they do use practical effects, they are so good.
They're so much better. The lizard, I've said this before, I don't like my video games and my movies unless it's supposed to be that way. I felt it looked a little... Yeah, exactly. I felt a little... Especially when everything is realistic and then you have one thing that's CGI, it really stands out. And, we had another friend that came with it. He's like, yeah, didn't you notice that some of the cars, when they were being thrown around... I'm not giving anything away, it's in the trailers. They look...
Cars get thrown in Spider-Man
I know,
movies?
right?
Really?
Things move. There's destruction.
Oh my god.
It's crazy.
Stop the presses. Alert the bugle.
But I thought they all occasionally looked more like, it definitely looked CGI, and I thank God that I went to Comic-Con last year, and when they had an exclusive clip of the lizard, and thank goodness they changed part of that, because it kind of borderline creepy.
I was gonna say, and it looked awful, didn't it?
It looked pretty bad, although, again, they didn't change how the lizard looked that much from between when I saw it at Comic-Con.
I imagine they
here.
touched it up a bit, because that was a year ago.
Yeah, it was a bit rough still. But at one point the lizard corners this high school girl and sticks his tongue out at her, and it was just gross and kind of wrong. She's probably 16, and it was just a little too much. But I'm really glad they cut that out. Because that was kind of the big reveal, at Comic-Con last year.
And it's I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I sat there. I ended up not being able to get in with Megan. I got in by myself.
I stood in line.
I sat there by myself.
We all stood in line. It's Comic-Con.
And I was like, I wish somebody else was here to see this that I could talk to later, because this is kind of odd. Although I'm kind of glad, Megan, you weren't there for it.
Although I missed Andrew Garfield being cute and adorable.
Troy McCall, that man is amazing.
And
he plays a very good Spider-Man.
And him and Emma Stone, well, they're both such great actors, and the fact that they're dating and everything adds to... They have really great chemistry.
Yeah.
They were just adorable.
I think everyone had chemistry.
That's true. I don't think there was...
And yeah, Sally Field and, Michael Sheen, as the aunt and uncle.
Oh,
they were great.
Oh, they were fantastic.
Martin Sheen and Sally Field, though, you got two A-list, Academy-nominated / award-winning actors. I think they've won awards.
I think so.
At some point.
Well, they were leaps and bounds ahead of the previous Uncle Ben and Aunt May.
Oh,
I don't.
Cliff Robertson.
I don't want to
rest
say
his
that.
soul.
I prefer them. Then again, as I've said, I prefer this entire incarnation. So
See, Spider.
My bias is
For me
shown.
personally, I like, and this almost kills me to say, but I like this better than the first one. But I do not like it more than Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 for me is still the top of the tier. But I loved this. This. Not to say that this was bad in any way, shape, or form. I did love this, and I wasn't sure if I was going to. So I'm really glad walking away that I'm walking out of the theater with a smile on my face going, okay, when's the next one?
Yeah.
I'm ready for another one now.
Give it a
You've
couple
won me
years.
over. Yay.
So then, Katie, what's your final thoughts?
Go see it. I've already said pretty much everything that I'm going to say about this. I think it was a very good incarnation. I think for starting over and having to retell the origin story of a franchise that has already done so well for itself, some plot points in the third movie notwithstanding, that this was incredibly well done, very well casted, very well executed, and entirely worth seeing. And I would see it as soon as you can and stay after the credits.
Yeah, stay for a bit. There's a
scene.
There's a scene.
Nothing
That's all.
Nothing
Yeah.
at the very, very end, but stay partway through the credits, though.
no shawarma, but it's
No
No shawarma.
But
No
it's good.
shawarma, but yeah, there is something there.
Yeah, I as a fan of the first one, and again, I like the first one's better. But I did like this one quite a bit. So even if you're hesitant because you're such a huge fan of the first one, I would recommend still go see this one. It's still a really good time. It is a different take, but there's still enough similarities, and it's still a really fun. I mean, superhero movies are so in right now, and they're actually, because they're in, I think they take a lot more effort into, well, most of them, into making them good films that people enjoy. And Stan Lee created a great universe to play in. But thanks for joining us on the Drive Home Amazing Spider-Man, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.